Okay, first question. Who wants to go first? Okay, first question. What are some goals that you have to achieve once you become vice president?
My goals that I wish to achieve are to raise money for the prom and to reduce the student dues payment.
My goals as vice president is to work with everybody in the class office to create more fundraisers, and a lot more than last year, of course, and to raise money for things we need, like our graduation, our prom, and senior class trip, if we do raise enough money, which I hope we do, and I will do so.
What are the few ideas you have for events and fundraisers?
I had a few ideas, and one of them got shut down because Spirit Week was a costume day for Halloween, where people could wear their costume and they pay like $1 for their costume, and people who aren't juniors pay like $2 to wear their costume. So it could be like open to all people of MST, but the juniors get better perks. And another one is like Pajama Day, which would have a similar concept. The juniors pay less money, and the other classmen, or like seniors, freshmen, sophomores, would pay a little more. So we get more money from everyone who wants to participate.
As anyone in student council can tell you, Pajama Day isn't a thing due to legal problems and just certain things. My idea was a video game tournament that so failed the last 2 years. However, they haven't had me work on it. They've had David and a couple other people, Roman. My idea was a Smash tournament, just like general pay to enter in Mr. Frasca's room, and any other video game tournaments, speed running, stuff like that, as well as working with the other people who won last year, or this year, to come up with new events. I also plan to take ideas from stuff that student council has done, because, you know, I'm in student council. Someone isn't. I'm done.
How often do you stay after school, and what do you stay after school for?
I stay after school every Wednesday for student council. I have worked on other days with Mr. McDonald, Kyle, and Mr. K trying to get posters for student council so we can have, like, right now we have 2 printed. They just need to be laminated for events, so we don't have to constantly make new posters. And those will look a hell of a lot more professional than the ones that we do by hand.
I stay after school every day because I wait for the memorial bus, but I'm in the yearbook club, and I'm also in GSA, and I almost did join student council, but I figured I could do class office without student council.
All right. Do you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Why or why not?
I assume this is directed solely towards me. I don't stand for the Pledge of Allegiance because I shouldn't have to show my own patriotism. Not only do I not want to generally live in America, I plan to go to Canada, and I'll stand for Canada's pledge. You play Canada's pledge, I'll stand for that. I don't even know if they have a pledge, but I will. In general, soldiers have fought and died for our freedom. That freedom is for me to not stand for the pledge. That freedom is for me to say anything I want about America. So I'm exercising my own freedom when I don't stand for the pledge, and just in general, there's nothing really anyone could do to stop me. So.
You just lost my vote.
I feel as though this question is really unnecessary for what we're running for, but I'll answer anyways because I'm very nice. And I stand for the pledge because it is our freedom to stand for the pledge because our soldiers fight for them, but I exercise this freedom to like sort of show my appreciation for what these soldiers do for us. And that's basically all there is to it.
Last year, the class of 2018 felt uninformed. How will you communicate with your classmates?
More signs and just in general working more with the people who do the announcements. I know Hope as well as Sage knows Hope, so we can speak to them. In general, I'd like to continue keeping word of mouth. However, one of the biggest things is in general, you students are the people who tell everyone or should tell everyone, especially other classes too, just so if we do have an event, they can participate as well. It isn't just you. Word of mouth, more signs, I guess, and working with the announcements. The announcements could be clearer. However, that's just in general talking to Hope and the other people who help do the announcements.
I feel as though, and this was one of my plans, is to, of course, host a lot more like class meetings with like all of us. Well, I mean all of the juniors, and of course advertising through posters, through announcements on the intercom, through any other means of advertising, any ideas or fundraisers or any activities that our class wishes to do and can accomplish is something that I have been planning, and will work out kinks when I get into class office.
All right, next question. How do you plan to use your title as vice president to improve your class and school?
In general, the title doesn't mean anything so long as that you're allowed to put in the work. It's just mainly it's just a title, that's it. However, I'll continue with talking about how I do plan to improve if I do have such a title. It's an opportunity to work with your fellow students and have an actual voice, more so of a voice than the regular student body. And in general, as a student council member, I figured out a lot of students, whether or not they have a title behind them or whether or not they join a club, do have a voice in the school, so long as you have an idea and numbers, petitions, everything. It all helps. The more people that back an idea, the more people that back a certain person with an idea, that person's going to get noticed.
I do agree with what Kendall was saying about how the title doesn't really, mean anything as long as you have, the ideas and, the creativity to have such ideas. But I feel as though with vice president as a title, you would be able to coordinate more ideas efficiently, or at least more of your ideas that you want to push through or use effectively or whatever.
What makes you think you are a better choice for vice president rather than your opponent?
I feel that I have more experience than Sage. While he does work in yearbook, was last year a historian requirement. Last year, it was a requirement for the vice president to be in student council, and I've been in student council since freshman year. Sage hasn't been in student council ever. I have actually worked with yearbook, and I go to Miss Braille's class every day because I have her CTE. So if it's a matter of information, I've generally been pretty resourceful with everything. Again, with the posters, working with Mr. McDonald, Kyle Florick, and Mr. K. Again, with making sure that tickets are sold in the school store, which is beyond me how that has never happened before, because I haven't heard of it since I got here. In general, I was last year's winner, and while we didn't do a lot, I was still generally involved in the planning. I went to most of the meetings that we planned for, however, not a lot of people did in general. That's not just me. Fine.
I do believe that Kendall does have student council, and that does give him an edge over myself, but it doesn't really matter as long as, results speak for themselves and the actions will actually pull through. As, last year, there were only 2 people that I have seen to have worked really hard on anything and it was Maggie and Michaela, and Kendall was pretty scarce in planning and all of the sort of class office things as vice president, and he did win last year uncontested, which means there wasn't really a fair chance for anyone else to do anything or well, run for it.
I would like to do a rebuttal against that, because last year, anyone that could have or would have ran against me would have been perfectly welcome, the same as Sage is now. You could have ran against me. I didn't have to run opposed. I just ran unopposed. In general, other people had other ideas and other positions that they wanted to pursue. Winning unopposed is still winning. Any last statements?